Chosen one, this is who you will soon become, even you won't recognize yourself. I want you to do something that might feel uncomfortable at first. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment, not literally, because you're watching this, but close the part of your mind that is currently cataloguing everything that is wrong, everything that is unfinished, everything that has not yet worked out the way you believed it would. Just for a moment, let all of that go quiet. And in that quiet, I want you to ask yourself a question you have probably never asked directly. Who am I becoming? Not who you are right now, measured by your circumstances, your failures, your position, your bank account, your relationship status, your age, or any of the other external measurements the world uses to assess a human life, but who you are in the process of becoming. Who is emerging from the specific combination of everything you have survived, everything you have learned, everything you have lost and rebuilt and lost again. Who is being constructed carefully, painstakingly, with a precision you cannot see from inside the process, out of the raw material of your entire life, up to this moment. If you could see that person clearly, the one you are becoming, you would not recognize them at first. And then, after a moment, you would recognize them completely. Because they are everything you have always known, in your deepest self, that you were supposed to be. Today I am going to show you who that person is. And I promise you the vision is more extraordinary than anything the difficult seasons of your journey have allowed you to imagine. Let me be honest about where you are, right now. Not where you tell people you are, where you actually are. You are in a transition, a real one. Not the kind that feels exciting and full of momentum, but the kind that feels like standing in a hallway between two rooms, the old one you have left, and the new one whose door has not yet fully opened. And the hallway is hard. It is disorienting in ways that are difficult to describe to people who are not in one, because you no longer fully belong to what you were, but you do not yet fully inhabit what you are becoming. And that in-between space, that liminal territory where the old identity no longer fits but the new one has not yet solidified, can feel like being lost when it is actually something far more significant. You have been carrying questions in this hallway. Questions about yourself that the uncertainty has made louder and more insistent. Whether the sense you have always had of being meant for something, of carrying a purpose that exceeds what your current circumstances reflect, is real or invented. Whether the growth you have experienced through difficulty has been worth the price it extracted. Whether the version of yourself that is supposed to emerge from all of this is actually going to show up. Or whether this is simply what life feels like when the promise was never quite as real as you believed. Those questions are not evidence of weakness. They are the precise questions that every person in genuine transformation asks at the exact midpoint between who they were and who they are becoming. You are at the midpoint, which means the other side is exactly as far away as the side you have already traveled. And what is on the other side of this transition, who you are becoming through it, is the subject of everything I want to say to you today. You are becoming someone who no longer needs external validation to feel real. There is a version of you, one you have been building toward through every experience that required you to stand in your own conviction without the support of the people around you, who has fundamentally outgrown the need for other people's approval to feel certain about who you are. This is not arrogance. It is not indifference to other people's perspectives or feelings. It is something far more sophisticated than either of those things. It is the deep, settled knowledge of self that comes only from having been tested, from having had your identity stripped down to its essential components by circumstances that removed everything that was not foundational, and discovering, in that stripping, that what remained was solid, genuine, enough. The version of you that is emerging does not scan every room for signs of whether it is welcome, does not edit its truth before speaking to make it more palatable, does not shrink in the presence of people whose approval once felt necessary. It simply shows up fully, clearly, unapologetically as exactly who it is. And it has learned through the specific curriculum of your specific life that that is both sufficient and extraordinary. You are becoming someone whose presence calms every room they enter. Think about the people in your life who carry this quality, the rare ones who walk into a space and something about the atmosphere shifts. Not because they are loud or commanding or performing anything, because they are genuinely deeply present in a way that most people never achieve. That quality is not a personality type. It is not a natural gift that certain people are born with and others are not. It is the earned result of having done the inner work, of having sat with your own discomfort long enough to stop being frightened by it, of having processed enough of your own pain that you are no longer unconsciously transmitting it to every person and environment around you, of having developed a relationship with stillness that transforms your presence from reactive to grounding. You have been doing that work. Through the difficulty of this season, through the forced introspection, the unavoidable confrontation with your own patterns, the slow and painful process of becoming honest with yourself about things you had been comfortable avoiding, you have been building the inner landscape that produces exactly this quality of presence. The person you are becoming walks into rooms and people exhale, without knowing why, without being able to articulate what changed when you arrived. You will know, and you will wear it with the quiet confidence of someone who understands exactly what it cost. You are becoming someone who loves without fear and receives without guilt. This one requires some honesty about a pattern that many chosen people carry often, without recognizing it as a pattern at all. You have been, for most of your life, better at loving than at being loved, better at giving than at receiving, better at showing up for other people's needs than at acknowledging and honoring your own. And you have, in all likelihood, been subtly praised for this, because a person who is always available, always giving, always prioritizing others is useful to the people around them in ways that self-protective people are not. But this asymmetry, this imbalance between giving and receiving, is not a virtue. It is a wound wearing the costume of a virtue. It is the result of somewhere along the way learning that your needs were secondary, that your desires were indulgent. That receiving made you a burden rather than simply a human being with legitimate needs of your own. The person you are becoming has healed that wound. Not perfectly healing is never a clean, linear process, but substantially enough that they can stand in the presence of genuine love, genuine generosity, genuine care directed toward them, and receive it without the reflexive deflection, without the uncomfortable minimizing, without the guilt that has always arrived alongside good things given specifically to you. They can say thank you, and mean it, and let it actually land. That healed capacity to receive is not just emotionally significant. It will transform the quality of every relationship in your life and the trajectory of everything you are building. You are becoming someone who has made peace with their entire story. Every person carries chapters they wish were different, decisions made from fear or ignorance or pain that produced consequences still living in the present, relationships that ended badly, seasons of choices that now seem almost incomprehensible from the person you have become. The version of you that most people carry into their lives is at war with those chapters. It edits them, hides them, is perpetually ashamed of them, carries them as evidence against its own worthiness, in ways that color every present moment with the shadow of a past that it cannot change. The version of you that is emerging has done something far more difficult and far more liberating than editing. It has integrated. It has looked at every difficult chapter not with self-congratulation and not with continued self-condemnation, but with the honest, compassionate eyes of someone who understands how a human being in that set of circumstances, with that level of development and that degree of pain, would make exactly those choices, and who has stopped using the past as a weapon against the present. This integration does not erase what happened, but it transforms its function. Instead of being a source of shame that limits what you believe is possible for you, your entire story, including and especially the hard parts, becomes the specific, irreplaceable source of the wisdom, the compassion, and the credibility that makes your contribution to the world uniquely yours. No one else has lived your story, which means no one else can offer what your story has equipped you to give. You are becoming someone who moves slowly, deliberately, and powerfully. There is a particular kind of urgency that scarcity and fear produce, a reactive, anxious energy that drives decisions based on what feels immediately pressing rather than what is genuinely important. That energy is exhausting, both for the person carrying it and for everyone in proximity to it, and it produces consistently outcomes that require more energy to manage than the slow, deliberate alternative would have cost in the first place. The person you are becoming has shed that urgency, not because their life has become free of challenge or pressure, but because they have developed through the specific discipline of having to find stillness in genuinely difficult circumstances, the capacity to respond rather than react, to pause in the space between stimulus and response, to make the choice that serves the long arc of their purpose rather than the short-term relief of the immediate pressure. That deliberateness, that willingness to slow down when everything is pushing for speed, is one of the most powerful qualities available to a human being. It is the quality that allows leaders to lead well, that allows builders to build things that last, that allows relationships to go deep rather than simply remain active. You are growing into it, and the world around you is going to feel the difference in ways that will surprise even people who thought they knew you well. You are becoming someone whose boundaries are clear, firm, and rooted in love. Somewhere in the formation of who you have been, you developed the belief, however it arrived, whatever its source, that saying no was dangerous. That maintaining a boundary would cost you something more valuable than whatever the boundary was protecting. That belief produced a version of you that could be accessed, impacted and depleted by people and circumstances that had no right to that level of influence. A version of you that gave away the precious your time, your energy, your peace, your direction to whoever asked with enough persistence or enough emotional leverage. The person you are becoming has a completely different relationship with the word no. They understand at a level that cannot be argued with that a boundary is not a wall. It is not an act of hostility or a declaration of superiority. It is simply the material expression of self-knowledge, the practical acknowledgement that you know what you are here for, you know what serves that purpose, and you know what does not. And from that knowledge, the no arrives cleanly, without excessive explanation, without the guilt spiral, without the days of second-guessing. Simply, clearly, kindly, completely no. That capacity will change who is in your life. It will change how those people treat you. And it will change, more than almost anything else, the amount of energy available for the things and people and purposes that are genuinely meant to have it. You are becoming someone who is no longer afraid of their own power. This might be the most important revelation in this entire script, and I want to give it the full weight it deserves. Many chosen people are far more afraid of their own power than they are of failure or rejection or the opinions of other people. The power I am describing is not dominance. It is not the power of control over others. It is the specific, personal, God-given power of someone operating in full alignment with their purpose, the extraordinary creative and contributive force that is released when a person stops apologizing for their gifts and starts deploying them completely. That power has always been present in you, but it has been modulated, turned down, held back, kept just below the level where it would become too visible, too disruptive, too likely to separate you from the people and environments that felt safe precisely because they were familiar. The separation is happening anyway, has been happening throughout this season. The familiar is falling away not as punishment but as preparation, because what you are moving toward cannot be reached from where you were standing. The version of you that is emerging is done modulating, done making yourself smaller to fit spaces that were never meant to contain you, done performing a lesser version of your gifts so that other people remain comfortable in proximity to them. They are going to see what you are actually capable of, and some of them will be astonished, and some will struggle with what they see. And both responses are acceptable, because the person you are becoming is no longer making decisions based on either one. You are becoming someone who creates rather than reacts. The difference between a person who creates their life and a person who reacts to it is not intelligence, not talent, not opportunity, not circumstances. It is the degree to which they have done the internal work of getting clear about who they are, what they are for, what they value, and what they are building so that the decisions of their life flow from that clarity rather than from the pressures and expectations and emergencies of the moment. Reactive living produces a life that looks, in retrospect, like a series of responses to things that happened, a life shaped more by external forces than by internal intention. It is exhausting. And it produces, over time, a growing gap between who you are and who you know you were supposed to become. Creative living in the fullest sense of that phrase produces something completely different. It produces a life that bears the unmistakable mark of intentional authorship. A life where even the difficult chapters serve the larger narrative, where even the unexpected detours contributed something that the original route would not have provided, You are transitioning from reactive to creative, and the evidence of that transition is already present in the increasing clarity you feel about what actually matters, in the growing ability to let go of what doesn't, in the quiet but undeniable sense that you are no longer simply surviving your life, but beginning, deliberately and with full awareness, to build it. You are becoming someone other people will study from a distance. I want to say this carefully because I do not want it to land as arrogance or as an invitation to performance. The person you are becoming, the integrated, grounded, purposeful, self-knowing individual who emerges from this season of transformation is not common, is not what most people produce from the raw material of a human life, even a life with significant advantages. What you are becoming is rare, and rare things are observed, studied, drawn toward, emulated by people who sense, even from a distance, that something different is happening in that life, something that operates on a different set of principles than the ordinary, and that produces results, relationships, and a quality of presence that the ordinary cannot replicate. People are going to watch you, not because you asked them to, not because you performed for them, because the life of someone genuinely aligned with their purpose has a quality that is visible from a distance, and visible things attract attention. Your response to that attention will matter. The version of you that is emerging handles it with the same groundedness it brings to everything else, neither deflecting it in false humility nor being consumed by it in ego. Simply carrying it as the natural result of becoming who you were always supposed to be, and redirecting it toward the purposes it was sent to resource. You are becoming someone even you will look back at in wonder, the final revelation. And in some ways, the most personal one. There will come a moment specific, unmistakable, unforgettable when you will look back at this season, at the person you are right now, in this difficult, transitional, uncertain chapter, and you will feel something that surprises you with its complexity. You will feel compassion for the person in this season. Genuine, tender compassion for what they carried, how long they carried it, how faithfully they kept going through circumstances that justified stopping. You will feel gratitude for this season. Not nostalgically, not wishing to return to it, but the deep gratitude of someone who can see, from the other side, exactly what this time produced, exactly which qualities it built, exactly which outcomes it made possible that no easier path could have produced. And you will feel something else. Something quiet and enormous simultaneously. You will look at who you have become, and you will not fully recognize the person you are now, not because that person has been lost, but because they have been so completely fulfilled, so fully expressed, so thoroughly become that the constrained, uncertain, limited version you are living right now will seem like a sketch of something that the completed painting only loosely resembles. That completed painting is who you are becoming. That is the person God has been building through every hard season, every difficult lesson, every moment of endurance that seemed to produce nothing visible. The canvas is not blank. The work is not unfinished. It is in the final stages of becoming something that will take your breath away when you finally see it whole. I want to close this conversation at the place where it began, with honesty about where you actually are right now. You are in the hallway, the transition, the in-between, and the hallway is hard. I am not going to minimize that with a tidy inspirational bow. It is hard in ways that are real and that deserve to be acknowledged rather than rushed past. But I want to tell you something about the hallway that changes everything about how you move through it. Every single quality I have described today, the groundedness, the boundary clarity, the healed capacity to receive, the creative intentionality, the fearless deployment of your gifts is being built in the hallway. Not on the other side of it, not as a reward for surviving it, in it, through it, because of it. The transformation is not coming, it is happening, right now, in you, in the specific ordinary, unremarkable Tuesday of your life, where nothing dramatic is visible and everything important is being quietly assembled beneath the surface. The person you are becoming is not a future version of you that has nothing to do with who you are today. They are you, your actual self, the one that has been present beneath every layer of fear and conditioning and pain, becoming more completely themselves than any previous season allowed. You are not waiting to become someone extraordinary. You are in the process of remembering that you always were, and the remembering is almost complete. If this reached you somewhere real today, if any part of this conversation, Describe something you have been feeling but hadn't yet found words for. Subscribe. Every week we bring you the kind of deep, honest, psychologically and spiritually grounded truth that chosen people need at exactly the right moment in their transformation. Who you are becoming is extraordinary, and you are closer to becoming them fully than any difficult day of this season has allowed you to believe. Keep going. The hallway has an end, and what is waiting on the other side of it is worth every single step.